I think scientists do that all the time. I mean, when I would go to these double-stranded RNA meetings, and you can only imagine the parties that are associated with the meeting that has a name like that. But we would debate. You'd present your data, you reach a certain conclusion. Can you fairly reach that conclusion based on those data? That's the way science works, and it works well. And you want people to criticize you because that's the only way your science gets better. But he just says things that are just flat out wrong. So for example, he'll say regarding on the mercury thing, he'll say you should look at the Burbacker paper. He said out of the University of Washington, Burbacker injected monkeys, baby monkeys, with this thimerosal, this ethylmercury containing preservative, and what they found was inflammation like they'd never seen before, just the worst inflammation in the brain. Read the paper. It doesn't say that at all. It says that there was no effect of ethylmercury. Methylmercury at high levels was a problem, but not ethylmercury. So he lies. So what you're doing is you're sitting there, he's saying these things, and you're saying, well, that's just not true. That's not true. That's not true. It's not a debate. I don't see how that helps anybody.
No, I agree. Although 50 grand, that's a lot of money.
Well, actually, the person who asked me said, would you be willing to debate RFK? I said, I would love to debate RFK, but he's been dead for 50 years.
Yeah, that'd be a problem. The ingredient that they took out, that you mentioned, why they take it out?
Right. So there were in 2001, there were more and more vaccines were being given to children, and so therefore more and more vaccines contained this ethylmercury containing preservative, and there were studies even done at that point that showed you that it was not a problem. But again, mercury doesn't sound good, so the Public Health Service showed basically how not to communicate theoretical risk. This was a great example of how not to communicate theoretical risk. So they basically put a gun to the head of the pharmaceutical companies and said, you got to take this preservative out, which basically meant you went from multi-dose vials to single-dose vials, which made vaccines much more expensive and made them basically unaffordable to a number of developing world countries.